You just graduated high school and everyone's asking, so what's next? Or maybe you've been in a job for a while and every Sunday night, the Sunday scaries hit. Why? Because you know that you're meant for so much more and you keep going back to that one thought. What if I became a nurse? But then reality hits and you don't even know where to start. Well, welcome to Nursing Navigator. Today, my co-pilot is going to help give us a roadmap from choosing a nursing program to some nursing school insights and everything that's going to be helpful that you would want to know if you're thinking about becoming a nurse. I'm Sarah.
I'm AG.
And this is the Nursing Navigator by Hearst Review.
Nursing Navigator's here. Wipe away those study tears. Hearst Review's got your back. Listen close, stay on track.
So AG, before we even dive into the logistics of nursing school and programs and applying, let's just start at the mental state before that. What are some of the most common reasons that people want to become a nurse?
I think the most classic answer and the one that might actually get you in trouble.
Let me guess. I want to help people.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's like number one.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong. And if you don't want to help people, nursing is the wrong career move. We want to, help people in any kind of way that they need. We also want to make sure that we're keeping people safe. But we have to be careful with the passion to just want to help, because there's lots of other career paths that you can go down where you can help people.
Oh, yeah. I think even if you don't know if you want to become a nurse, and maybe Ashley just said something, if you don't want to help people, the nursing is not the career for you. But like you said, I think in any profession, you can find ways to help others. And you don't even have to do that in your job. You can just do that in your day-to-day life.
Absolutely. And I feel like because there's a lot of other ways for you to help people, that won't be the thing that'll keep you in nursing. And so, real quick story time, if I can.
Yeah.
Is our very first day of nursing school, one of our instructors went around the room and she was like, "Why do you want to be a nurse?" And everybody had to answer, and she was keeping track. And so anybody that gave the answer, "I want to be a nurse because I want to help people," she let you say that, but then she came back around to you at the end and said, "Okay, for all the people that said, I want to be a nurse because I want to help people, you got to give me another answer." And
you
we're
can
like,
do better than that.
Right, like it's got to be deeper than that. And we're like, What do you mean? There's nothing deeper than wanting to help someone, But then, she's explained that there's so many other ways to help people other than just being a nurse. So why do you want to choose nursing and let that be the way that you help people?
What was your answer?
Oh, well, then I got emotional because my answer, like when I really got, deep enough, is that my grandmother was sick. She was sick the majority of the first part of college for me. And I just watched, my mom become her caregiver and provide the type of care that she really needed to live longer and live more, a more productive life while she lived longer. And I wanted to do that. And so I just, having a role model to see what you can do and how you can prolong someone's life and give them a better quality of life by doing it. And so that's deeper than just wanting to help someone. It's wanting to provide that type of care and that type of safety for someone in like their most vulnerable state.
Yeah.
And so I cried. I that's what the reason why I didn't want to tell her that, because I was like, I'm going to be here in the middle of class crying.
But I think that's probably really relatable.
It is.
Too. I'm sure for you as your grandmother, for the person sitting 3 seats behind you or 2 seats to your left, it could have been their aunt or their brother, their mom.
That's right.
So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
With our listeners too.
Sure.
So of course, you want to help people. A career in nursing seems like a very obvious choice. Not the only choice, as we just covered, but an obvious one. What are some other motivators and reasons for why people would want to pursue the career in nursing?
Well, some people have just a personal experience with healthcare. Maybe they're already a CNA, or a tech in the hospital, and they've been working already with patients. And there's something within them that says, this is a great, pathway for me, but I want to do more. I want to grow in this field. And so that would be a really good push for them to, move from being a CNA to going to nursing school. So they already have that healthcare background. They're just growing in it. But then you have the opposite of that, where you've got someone and they're, in a different career path, and they get those Sunday scaries, or they have that gut feeling that they're, this isn't the end for me. This is not where I'm meant to land. And they want to, create more joy in their life and feel more fulfilled in their career path. So that could be a push for them to go back to nursing, or go into nursing school, or into the nursing profession from there.
Yeah, or maybe they've always had the dream of becoming a nurse. And let's just say other external factors played into it, whether it be your parents saying, no, I want you to become an accountant,
Right.
or, I want you to work at the family business,
Right.
whatever the case may be. But I love these stories, and I'll be honest, I watch a lot of them on TikTok now, of people later in life really towards like the peak or ending of their career,
Right.
going back in and saying, you know what? I always wanted to become a nurse. I'm 50 years old.
Yep.
So what? I'm still going to go back and I'm going to do it. And I like seeing stories like that too. So I'm sure that, previous healthcare experience seems a little bit more obvious, but I'm sure that there's tons of people out there too that say, I've always wanted to be a nurse. Now's my time to do it.
Yeah, I love that one. That one's one of my most favorite nursing stories. Is a lot of times where, we have a student that, they had a baby, they were married, and they felt like they didn't have the opportunity and time at the time to go to nursing school. And now their kids are grown. And they're like, what do I want to do with my life? And I've always had this dream of being a nurse. I'm going to go get it. And I love that. I love the fact that, people can go back to nursing school or go to nursing school whenever they choose to.
Yeah.
Because we need all different types of people to care for everyone along we're all different ages, right? And so it's sometimes really nice just to have a nurse, that's your age or like closer to your age. So it's really just nice to have, people in healthcare along all the different ages. So it's good.
I'm getting a feeling right now. Some of you may be listening to this or watching this, and you have been looking for a sign.
Yeah.
I just need a sign that I am not the only one thinking, okay, should I go back? Am I too old to go back? Are there other options out there? Well, let this be your sign.
That's right.
And we just said it's never too late to pursue your dreams. And if your dream is to become a nurse, then you are listening to the Nursing Navigator. This episode is on I want to become a nurse. Where do I start? So let us know. Are you the person that we're speaking about here? Is this your sign? We would love to hear that.
I mean, I feel like that ties into, you're really never too young and you're never too old to go for it. I mean, as long as you're legally old enough to, pass meds and go to clinical, typically in a lot of states that's 17 years old. I mean, the sky's the limit with nursing. So, it really isn't. It's not too late to start. It's never too early to start thinking about it either and start on the pathway to becoming a nurse.
And for those where, their babies are grown and they're looking for, something maybe more fulfilling, maybe even a travel nurse would be great for that. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but nursing provides quite a bit of flexibility for your career.
It does. And I think that that's one of the biggest differences with nursing now than maybe in the past. Nursing has become such a flexible career. And nursing is much more than, sometimes what like lay people think. When they hear the word nurse, they think of someone at the bedside in a hospital or a clinic providing direct patient care.
Working 12-hour shifts every single, rotation.
Right. Or more, 16, so it just depends. But nursing is a lot more than that. And I mean, you have so many different career paths. And so this is a great career opportunity for people to develop that flexibility and have time with their families as well. So they've got those opportunities where they can, become the nurse that they've always dreamed of becoming, but also picking a schedule that's flexible enough for whatever else they have going on in their life.
And you're the perfect example of that.
I am. I really feel like I am.
To pick nursing over family or family over nursing.
That's right.
Because you have a family.
I do.
You're a nurse.
I am.
You teach.
I do. And I love that. It's like, you get your experience, you go into an area that you love, that you feel like you can provide the best care for your clients, and you learn and you reevaluate at that point. So I like to tell nurses that you give it a year if you can. Every time you come to the end of a year, you reevaluate and you ask yourself a series of questions. Do I feel like I am serving this job well? Am I serving this portion of my life well? If the answer is yes, you keep going. And then you ask yourself, is it serving me well? If the answer is yes, you keep going. And then, you just have to also factor in things like, is this flexible enough for all the other things that I'm responsible for? So does this schedule work for my children? Does this schedule work for my spouse? Does this schedule work for my free time? Do I have enough PTO? Do I have enough ability to, switch when I need to? And if all of those answers are yes, and you feel good about it, then you just keep going. But then the beauty of nursing is that when you hit a no, when you hit a wall, there are so many other opportunities in nursing that will give you the yes that you're looking for those questions. And so, just getting my experience at the bedside opened up a lot more opportunity for me. Going back to school and furthering my education opened up a lot of opportunity for me. And now I'm doing the thing in nursing that I can't see myself not doing, is I get to, teach students every day, and I get to, share the nursing perspective on social media every day. And so I just love it, because when I need to do things with my kids, I can. And I need time for myself, I can have it. And so I get to be fulfilled and do the thing that I'm called to do, while also being fulfilled and continuing my calling in all the other areas of my life too. So I love it.
I love that you're actively asking yourself those questions. Mm-hmm. And that might even be something that our listeners can do. If you're seriously considering a career in nursing, like you said, whether it's at the bedside or, at an outpatient care facility, we just learned that there's a lot of career flexibility when it comes to nursing. But ask yourself some questions that are important to you. If you have a family, will this career in nursing at XYZ meet the needs that you have for your family or for your, personal time? Or is it the right location? So come up with a list of items that are really important to you, just like AG shared that she does at the end of every year, and just a simple yes or no. And if you see a no, it's not the end all be all. You can just say, okay, well, the answer to that question is no, but maybe if I turn it into this question instead, that answer then becomes yes.
Exactly.
Now I'm seeing a lot on news, social media, that there's a nursing shortage. Mm-hmm. So in order to find that flexibility, it seems like it's out there because nurses are needed.
We are. And I love the fact that, you're always going to have a job opportunity. It may not always be the opportunity you wanted to go for, but there's always a need for a nurse because healthcare is vital. One day we're going to need a nurse. And I hope that is not anytime soon, but I hope that there's nurses out there, for patients when they actually need one. And so the beauty of it is that this is a secure job. Mm. You may have to move to get the career path that you're looking for. You may have to travel to get that career path, or it might be right there in your backyard. And I'm just going to be honest, is that when we think about why people sometimes want to become a nurse, that's on their list, is that, hey, it's not so much that I feel this feeling about being a nurse, or I don't really necessarily think that I deeply want to just help people. I know that I need a career path, and I need a career path that's going to stick. I need a degree, and I know nursing is going to give me that. So if we want to be honest, that's an option for people. And that's not right or wrong. It's just there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any shame in that.
No, none.
But yeah, spoiler alert, I'm not a nurse. I have a marketing degree. But the good news is that I'm surrounded by nurses. And that's kind of where this whole Nursing Navigator platform originated from. Let's ask nurses the questions that you are listening for the answers. And if I'm not asking the questions that you have, then let us know. You can DM us at Hearst Review if you have questions that you would like to submit to the podcast. Doesn't necessarily have to be questions. It can be a testimony. It can be a story. We really would love to hear from you. If you're not on social media, but let's be honest, everybody's on social media nowadays, feel free to shoot us an email. Our email is nursingnavigator@hearstreview.com. And we'll get Ashley in, Martha. We have a plethora of nurses, and we're so excited to introduce our nurses to you and for you to kind of have access to them through the Nursing Navigator. But why did I want to go into marketing? I did.
Yep.
You did. So I did.
And did.
I don't think there always has to be this super deep, heartfelt reason. Of course, there can be.
Right.
But I think it's important, too, just to look at your skill sets. And I think that that's okay, too, for you to kind of take a look at your skill sets and say, okay, well, looks like I'm going to be a good nurse. Do I want to be a nurse? Yeah, sure. That sounds good. There's flexibility. There's opportunities out there. There's job security. So-and-so down the street is a nurse. You get to wear scrubs. Okay.
Hey, yeah.
And that's okay.
That's right. And I think, when you mentioned, that you're creative, that some of those things about you are deep enough to sustain you, right? It's not a super deep emotional connection to whatever career path you're going into. I really just think it's the deepest connection that you have to who you are, right? And the things that you like to do. And so those are things that are going to be deep enough to keep you in the thing that you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you learn to love it,
Yeah.
whether you don't love it right off the bat or you don't learn to love it, and then you have to ask yourselves those questions and just kind of pivot from there. So when it comes to like those character traits, for me it was creativity, visuals, so it kind of seemed to me obvious, okay, maybe marketing is a good choice. Would you say that there's like a certain mindset or character traits that you see in nurses?
For sure. You've got to be quick thinking, and you've got to have really good judgment. I think also that you've got to have tenacity, where you don't give up so quickly. You've got to be able to shift easily. So flexibility. So we like the flexibility in our career, but we also need to be flexible just, in our mindset, and to be able to make quick moves at the bedside, shifting whenever we need to.
So if you have one or two of those, all of them, or maybe you're listening and you're like, okay, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, but I'm not flexible. I feel like I don't have great judgment. Mm-hmm. Is it a womp womp, sorry, you can't be a nurse? Or is this something that can be taught and that maybe you can grow into?
Absolutely that. So you can grow into it. I didn't have the best clinical judgment. In fact, I might have even said I had no clinical judgment.
And maybe you don't even know what clinical judgment is, and that's okay. Keep listening to future episodes. That is a very popular nursing term, and we will get into that.
For sure. And so I think some of those are skill sets. And, anything that's a skill, you can learn as you go. Or if you already, have some of those characteristics of those skills, you grow them as you go. And so, no, I don't want anybody to feel like they're just automatically out because they feel like they don't have some of those traits or characteristics, because it takes all kinds. And that's one of the, things that I feel like I heard a lot growing up that really has served me well in nursing, is that it does take all kinds. You need nurses with different personality traits because you are going to be caring for people that have different personality traits. And sometimes there's a clash there, and that's okay. If you notice that there's a clash, then sometimes making a different assignment is a really good move. And so it's nice to have nurses that have different character traits. And so it's okay. If you're missing any of those, some of those can be things that you work on. And then if you bring something else to the table, then that's just wonderful too.
And just like you said, you're not going to have all of them, but that is so important to understand because it's like a team. Have you ever been like part of a sports team or maybe a theater group or band, family? There's different personalities.
Yeah.
And that's so important because we like diversity in thinking. Yeah. We like diversity in the way that you do things. Let's take a hospital. That's the obvious environment that nurses work at, right? So let's break it down super ground level. In the hospital, you have nurses, doctors, patients, families of the patients. You have janitorial staff. You have the pharmacist. You have the techs.
And the list goes on and on.
On and on and on. And there's no two people with the same everything.
Right.
But it's functional. There's maybe the nurse that deals with maybe the more emotional family or the one that's super worked up. Maybe there's a nurse that's really great when people just kind of shut down. And that's probably important for you to learn in nursing school. Like, okay, what is my strength?
Yeah.
Where do I thrive? But I think it's probably also important to identify where you really lack.
For sure. Strengths and weaknesses are always talked about. Like that's one of the most popular job interview questions. What are your strengths? And then they move into, well, what do you feel like you need to work on, or what are your weaknesses? And people don't like to talk about that. But the truth is that self-awareness will save you. I feel like that's one of the like a big quality of anyone doing any job. But being self-aware is just knowing, what are you really good at? What do you need to work on? And how do I work on those things? And there's going to come a time where you might have to realize that there's certain things that I lack that even if I work on them, might still not get the job done. So who can I lean on? Who can I depend on? Does that make
you a bad nurse?
Makes you an excellent nurse, actually.
There you go.
Because teamwork is essential in nursing. I think one of the fastest ways to harm your client is to think you're going to do it by yourself. And so if you're not relying on every other member of the team, then you're doing it wrong.
That should be on a quote on a wall.
It should.
Let's make a quote out of that.
Like a sticker.
Yeah.
And so, that's the beauty of nursing, is that you are not expected to take care of the client yourself. Yes, they're assigned to you. And even if you're short team members, there's still other people in the facility doing their job that's going to keep the client safe. And so I think that is probably one of the most beautiful things about nursing, is that you're on a team and you're just doing your part, whatever your role in that play is. You're just playing your role there.
And you'll find that probably in any field.
For sure.
You'll identify your strengths, know your weaknesses, and hopefully you are in a work environment where there's help. There's people around you, because guess what? We're all here to achieve the same goal.
Yep.
We all are pushing that bus in the same direction. We got somebody in the back. We got somebody steering. We've got somebody, refueling the tank. And that's the beautiful part about teamwork.
That's right.
But I feel like teamwork among nurses is just taking it up to that next level.
That's right. When we work together, the patient thrives. And that's the goal. It's just making sure that we keep everybody safe.
Okay, Ashley. So far, we have talked about kind of doing the internal mental check. Is my heart there? Is my head there? Does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense. But the whole part of this podcast is, so now what?
Right.
Do we want to get into like nursing schools and programs and what that application process looks like?
For sure.
You've done it. I have
it.
not. So what better person than to ask than somebody who's gone through it?
Oh, my goodness. I'm having flashbacks right now.
Where did you start?
Well, it can be very overwhelming. Okay, and guys, what I say next, I do not want this to deter you at all. But first, there are over 3,000 nursing programs in the U.S. Okay, so you have tons of options. And for me, when I have too many options, I get overwhelmed.
You can shut down.
Right?
And sometimes it's like, okay, well, then where do I start? Well, you start here because you're listening to a podcast called Nursing Navigator.
Yeah.
So we are navigating you along this journey together. So at least you're in the right place for the starting point.
For sure. And so, I think at that point, if there's that many nursing programs, then you have to make a decision on what type of program is going to be best for you. And I will also always encourage anyone that's thinking about going to nursing school to apply to more than one program. Because in the event that you get waitlisted or you don't get accepted, or even if you do get accepted, you want to have options. It's always nice to be able to go, well, I've gotten accepted into 3 places. Now, out of these 3 places, which one is going to work best for me? So just make sure, you're keeping all of those options open, that you apply to more than one place, and you've got 3,000 different places to try.
Can we take it even a step back to what are the programs?
For sure. Okay, and so you've got multiple here, but let's just start off with some of the most common. So you've got associate's degree nursing, which is ADN. And again, not to deter you, but the data on your ADN programs is that they have about a 66% acceptance rate.
Okay.
So it's not bad. That's on the positive end. If we're thinking about national averages, I like anything over 50. That just sounds good to me. And so you've got that, typically a 2-year degree pathway. Most community colleges offer an associate's degree program. Well, then you have your bachelor's of science in nursing.
BSN.
Yeah, BSN.
There's a lot of letters.
Lots of letters.
Feel like I have a cheat sheet up.
That's right.
No, there's CRNA, there's yada, yada, yada. It's a whole alphabet, okay? So Ashley's going to help break it down.
For sure. And so with your BSN program, that's going to usually be a 4-year program. And so what that can look like is 2 years of prerequisites where you're just getting all of the things that you need to even get into nursing school, and then 2 years of nursing school courses. And so again, that would be an RN path. And a lot of times people go, well, what's the difference? And so for the RN, you've typically got your associate's degree nursing, ADN, and your BSN program. Your ADN programs are typically at community colleges, not always, but typically at your local community college, 2-year program for most of those. And then you've also got your BSN program typically at your college or university level. And that's usually 2 years of prerequisites where you're just gathering all of the courses that you need to get into nursing school, and then 2 years of nursing courses. And so people are typically, well, how do I choose between those two? Like, what's the difference? Well, at the end of the day, you're still taking the same NCLEX, no matter which of those programs you graduate from, and you have the same designation at the end. The letters that you get at the end of your name is RN.
Yeah.
You just sign ADN or BSN after that. And so that just is your level of education. It doesn't match the actual title you have as a nurse. A nurse is a nurse. So
nurse is a nurse.
That's right. A nurse is a nurse.
Just like C's get degrees.
Hey.
It reminds me of this dad joke my dad would tell me. So you know what they call the valedictorian of your medical school versus the one that barely scraped by but still made it to graduation? Doctor.
That's good.
You're welcome, Dad.
That was really good. Good job, Dad. I like that.
But all that to say, a nurse is a nurse.
That's right.
And back to I said I'm a visual person, so I'm seeing a flow chart here.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Thomas can mock this up, but we've got RN broken down into ADN, BSN.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is ADN is typically community colleges 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
A BSN is more of your colleges and universities.
Mm-hmm.
That then is a 2-year prerequisite and then 2 year of your nursing school.
Right.
So that is your little RN flow chart. But we know that there's other types of nurses.
Absolutely.
Than just RNs. We also have the PN side.
I know.
So walk us through, is it the same path for PNs?
Not quite.
Okay.
They have a little bit more of a different path. Okay, so your LPN or your LVN, okay, licensed practical nurse, licensed vocational nurse.
More letters.
More letters. And everybody goes, well, what's the difference there? Some states use the word vocational. Some states use the word practical. And so really is no difference. It's just in the letters that they've earned. And And so their pathway is a little bit different. Most of those programs are a year. And some of those programs offer a diploma at the end versus getting, your associate's degree, bachelor's degree. They offer a diploma. Now, not always. It just depends on the school and, how their accreditation works and the degree pass that they can provide. But those students usually, again, just have about a year of coursework, and they're going directly into nursing courses. They do have some prerequisites, that they can take before they ever attempt to go into these pathways. But typically when they walk in the door for their program, they're in nursing courses.
Yeah, you only have a year, so you got to
get
cover all the
it.
bases.
That's right.
And we should note, too, I know there may be somebody out there that's like, well, mine was 18 months or, I took an accelerated, track. So we're just covering this from a very high level.
That's right.
And obviously it depends on the school that you apply to or the community college you apply to. They all have their own, information. You can find that on their website.
For sure.
But again, just covering this from a very high level to maybe help fuel some searches that we encourage you to do on your own time.
So the beauty of all of these different programs is, you're just choosing what you feel works best for you. What works best for your time? Do you already have a plan of career acceleration? Like, I know that I want to become a CRNA, or I know that I want to be a nurse practitioner. I want to be a nursing educator. Well, if you know that already and you're not in nursing school, then you might want to make your decision based on that. And so that could be, well, I don't want to, start at a certain level and have to work my way all the way up to that. What would be the fastest pathway for me to get there?
Or even cheapest.
Right.
I mean, let's be real.
Money.
It's expensive.
That's right.
It's an expense. There's scholarships and, financial aid and all that kind of stuff. But just like anything that has to do with like your education,
Right.
It adds up. So I think having that in mind, if you know, okay, I want to become a nurse educator or a nurse practitioner, then Ashley, you bring up a really good point. It's, okay, what's going to get me there the fastest and the cheapest?
Yep. Because if we're going, based off of somebody else's pathway, that might not work for you. And that's one of the fastest ways to be unsuccessful is just to watch the way somebody else did it and then think you're going to go and recreate that. That was their journey. That was their pathway. And so you might have to, again, sit down with yourself and make that list and figure out, what do I need? What options are available to me? What's the fastest way I'm going to get there? What's the most cost-effective way I'm going to get there? And, what other options do I have?
Okay, so we just talked about cost.
Yeah.
But there are some other things other than cost that you should keep in mind as you're exploring opportunities and programs. Let's talk about accreditation. I know this is a term that if you're on a school's website or even taking a tour, they're going to talk about their accreditation. What does that even mean? Well, Ashley's going to explain it to us.
For sure. You definitely want to attend an accredited program. Please don't attend a program that's not accredited, because then your degree doesn't actually count. And so there's actually been some talk, it's not been recent, but in the past, there was some talk about fake nursing schools and students graduating from fake or false nursing schools. They were not real.
I really hope that I have never seen a nurse that went
You don't
to
want that.
fake nurse university.
That was a real thing. And I wish it wasn't. I wish it was fake. I wish it wasn't real at all.
It is fake.
The school is fake.
She's
It took
like,
me a minute.
I
was
know,
like,
I
"What
just said that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel so bad for students. They believed everything that, was put out by the school, and they did the hard work.
They paid the money.
They paid.
They did the time.
Yep.
They did their studying.
Yep. They
what a
took the
shame.
NCLEX, and they took the NCLEX and passed the NCLEX. And then, after deep diving, all of these accusations, and they realized that all of that for nothing.
Mm.
And it's sad. So just
do your research.
Please do your research, and first make sure that the school you attend is accredited. Now, we'll also say, since I'm looking at you, don't let words like initial accreditation, or anything like that, that terminology throw you off, that just typically means that the school is new. This is a new program that's going through the process of meeting accreditation standards based off of what their Board of Nursing or their Department of Education has set forth. So don't let words like that throw you off, but make sure the word accredited or accreditation is listed somewhere with a seal of somebody's approval on the website.
So we want to make sure the school is accredited.
Yep.
And there's a process for that. There's a team, there's a board. It's all regulated.
Right.
How is that regulation established?
And so usually, the school or the program is accredited by the Board of Nursing in that state or the Department of Education. And, you have some programs where the school is accredited by one body and the nursing program is accredited completely by a different body. And so one of the things that you might see here is, there's 3 days where this team has shown up to your campus and, they're coming in your classroom and they're asking questions and they're gathering paperwork and data from anyone and everyone. That's a good sign.
Okay, don't let it scare you.
No, don't let it scare you at all. That's always a really good sign that if you're in a program while their accreditation cycle comes up, and different programs, different cycle lengths. Some they have to do like their reprocess every 5 years. Some is every 10 years. Some is more, if you're in an initial process, then you might have somebody show up in a year.
Every year.
Right. And so if you got people coming in your classroom like that, that's a great sign. Like, okay, these people are a part of the accreditation board. This is exactly what we need. So you just want to make sure that there is accreditation established or it is being established. So that way, your program and your degree, diploma, your NCLEX results, they stand.
Yeah. They've got to be legit.
Right.
So while you're on your tour going through the website, you'll see accreditation. Mm-hmm. You'll likely also see their pass rates.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's going to be like loud and proud if it's good.
If it's good. It should be loud and proud.
Yeah.
If it's a highly accredited school.
That's right.
See how I tied those two together? It's all making sense. But the pass rate. So this could be the NCLEX pass rate, or this could be their own pass rate for their program. Mm-hmm. I know we've said NCLEX a couple of times. That word gets us really excited.
It does.
Also, more letters, NCLEX, for the National Council Licensure Examination.
Yep. Very good, Sarah.
It's a mouthful. That's why we call it the NCLEX. This is what you need in order to become a registered nurse or a LPN, right. LVN. It is a safety test. It is the core and the foundation and the identity of Hearst Review.
That's right. It's who we are.
It's who we are. Now, we can talk about the NCLEX all day long.
That's right.
It gets Hearst Review really excited because that's who we are. Mm-hmm. So there will be plenty of episodes about the NCLEX. But NCLEX pass rate or the program itself pass rate is something that they'll talk about a lot. They'll probably also talk about clinical experience.
Yeah.
Clinical. I hear this term all the time. What is a clinical?
Well, it is an experience that you go to at different facilities, typically a hospital or a clinic setting, where you get to experience what it's like to be the nurse for the day. You're learning from the nurses. Your faculty member is usually there with you for protection and guidance, and you're taking care of patients. You're actually getting to experience what a real day in the life of a nurse is like.
So similar to an internship mm-hmm. or a co-op for non-nursing people.
Right. The only difference is that usually, with an internship, you are there with just the people that work there. With clinical, your teacher is there with you. So like your faculty member is usually there, unless it's a preceptorship experience. But most of your clinical experiences, you're going to have a faculty member.
Like they just kind of drop you off and let you go?
No, ma'am. They're there.
No, she's scaring me.
No.
Wait, so they're with you?
They are on site with you and your other classmates the entire time. So they are the ones that are leading your clinical experience. So they're the ones determining, like, okay, what can we go do right now? What are we not going to do based off of, procedure per the rules of the school? They are there to protect you. You are usually, working under their license. And so they are the ones that are there making sure that, one, we're doing everything that we're supposed to do, but also they're your protection.
That sounds scary.
Because it is. It's intimidating. Let me say it that way. It's intimidating.
Because I'm sure that they are, and we'll do future episodes because this is really fascinating to me. I think what fascinates me is the intimidating aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
But we know clinicals, it's a part of your nursing program.
That's right.
Whether you go the RN route, the PN route, the ADN, the BSN, those little flow charts, you will be going to clinicals. And just like you, I have a lot of clinical questions. And I want to hear the stories. I want to hear about the interaction with your teacher coming in and laying eyes on you and everything like that.
That's 90% of it.
So we will definitely get into that. And to help us prep for that, we want to hear what questions you have about clinicals so we can ask Ashley about it. But yes, clinical experience is part of any nursing program you go through.
Right. Well, Sarah, I think, on the surface, that pretty much covers everything. But, we could get way deeper into this.
And I'm excited to kind of unwrap it
For
a
sure.
little bit. So we know that there's some mental and emotional checks that you should probably ask yourself and be real. I mean, sit down in front of a mirror, talk to people that know you really well, but don't let their opinions sway what you actually really want to do.
For sure.
And start doing your research, start touring places and visiting websites and visiting them in person. Ask somebody who graduated from there, what was their experience like? And really kind of let that help fuel this fire that you're feeling to really become a nurse.
For sure.
So, Ashley, I want to thank you for being a wonderful co-pilot, a very knowledgeable co-pilot, and help lay that roadmap foundation on, I want to be a nurse, but now what? So thank you for your insights on what it takes emotionally and physically to check those boxes and say, yeah, I want to be a nurse. So I'm going to apply to a nursing program.
For sure. And I want, everyone to just keep in mind that the process of starting nursing school, the process of going to nursing school is just part of the battle. That's the first part. The real challenge is surviving nursing school. And that is a whole nother beast.
That survival kit. You talk about surviving nursing school. That's to come in several future episodes because I know there's a lot of things in that nursing survival kit.
Oh, yeah.
Time management.
Study habits.
Clinicals.
Sleeping habits.
Finding a community.
Nursing school drama.
Stress management.
The NCLEX.
Just nursing school exams in general.
Nursing school failure.
The competitive aspect of it. Oh, Ashley, we're going to be busy here for a while.
We're going to be so busy.
But we're really excited to kind of dive deeper into it. So don't worry. We have got you covered on the Nursing Navigator. There will be lots of new episodes coming out. And we want to hear from you what topics you would like us to navigate together. Until next time, future nurses,
current nurses,
and retired nurses, thanks for tuning in to the Nursing Navigator by Hearst Review.
Guiding you through from school to the floor, nursing news, careers, and so much more. Learning, growing, passing the test. With Nursing Navigator, you'll be your best. Nursing Navigator's here.